This is the new third-gen Nissan Leaf. Back in 2010, when the first gen was released, it quickly became one of the most successful mass-market EVs, and I would even say set the trend. But the world has changed a lot since then, and the EV market is totally unrecognizable. Can the new Nissan Leaf compete? I'm AJ, you're watching Autogefühl, and let's dive right in with the front design. To me, this is a little bit of a missed opportunity because this looks very much like the Aria. And you know, the new Micra EV still retains that Micra design. But overall, objectively, it is a smart looking thing. Illuminated Nissan logo also really adds a nice dash to the front. The bumpers are also very sleek. Aerodynamics, of course, is the name of the game for EVs, and the new Leaf is also extremely slippery when it glides through the air. What do you think of this new design? Put it down in the comments below. The Leaf is on the CMF EV platform, which it shares with its Renault siblings, as well as the bigger Aria, but here it's a little bit smaller at 4.35 meters long. You get different wheel options, starting with 18 inches as standard, and these optional 19-inch alloys. I do love this very cool, funky spoke design, but it's important to note that the 19-inch wheels also come with 235 section tires, so they're wider, and this will negatively impact your range. I love the flush door handles, and this teal color looks really cool and striking with this contrasting black roof. This fastback design is also really sexy. I like this 3/4 angle, very reminiscent of the old 300ZX. I know what you're thinking, AJ, come on, another coupe SUV EV. There's so many in the market, and I totally agree. But I think the Leaf claws back some brownie points in the rear design. To me, this is the best part of the new Leaf because it's got that cool spoiler and this very retro band right here in the middle. And look at these tail lamps. They're holographic. They're so 3D. And here's a fun little fact. Actually, I lived in Tokyo when I was a child for 2 years. I don't know too much Japanese, but I know my numbers. Ichi, ni, san, shi. 2 and 3. Nissan. Nissan. How cool is that? Speaking of which, you have just a typography here for the Nissan badging, the Leaf badging on the left-hand side. The lower part of the bumper is also really cool. There's different color shades of gray in this section, and this diffuser is also nice and neat at the bottom. Let's talk some battery and motor specifications. You get 2 battery pack options, either a 52 or a 75 kilowatt hour net battery pack with 177 or 217 horsepower output. Fast charging, however, with the smaller battery is 105 kilowatts, and with the bigger battery is only 150 kilowatts, not so much. The claimed WLTP range for the big battery is a little bit over 600 kilometers, but that's only if you're driving really slow. A realistic estimate, if you're on the highway, is about 300 to 350 kilometers. Now with this platform, this is also only a front-wheel drive. It's also interesting that Nissan is working towards not just vehicle to load, but also vehicle to grid. So if you have a charged Leaf, you can sell that electricity back to the grid and charge your car at night when the rates and demand are lower. Pretty interesting. Here we have the key fob. Nothing too special, nothing new. You have keyless entry, so you approach the car, it unlocks, the door handle pops out. It's actually a pretty solid door handle. Door closing sound is also pretty good. There's a little bit of shimmy here, but overall the beating is really nice. The materials inside the door are also soft and plush. I like the way this white textile material looks. Could be a bit tricky to keep clean. This black material is also padded, and here the armrest is also very soft. What do you guys think of this purple navy blue color? I like the ambient lighting, and it's good to see a lot of buttons for the window and the mirror control. Fabric and color options for the seat upholstery. This white leatherette looks really nice, but will be hard to keep clean. The optional Bose audio system also sounds really nice. If you like music, I would recommend you get that. But nice to see that there are controls, automatic controls for the seats as well. The inside of the new Leaf is a really nice place to be. The materials and the colors we saw on the door continue through into the dashboard, although the ambient lighting doesn't line up perfectly. Never mind that. I like the plush white fabric on top. This navy blue color material is actually more hard, but that's okay. It's got this cool terrace effect. Down here you have a damped glove box. No felt lining or rubber lining though. The screens are also really nice and very vivid. This is the top spec 14.3 screens, two of them 14.3 each. I also like that they don't jut upwards and out. The base version comes with two 12.3-inch screens. I'm 5'8" or about 1.73 meters, and this is my driving position. As you can see, I have plenty of headroom, thanks mainly in part to the panoramic fixed glass roof. This is a cool way that a lot of EV manufacturers these days are liberating more headroom, giving you a panoramic roof, and also reducing the center of gravity. This, of course, has been treated for sound and heat insulation. And you might be wondering, AJ, is there a curtain? How do I dim this when it's sunny outside? Well, as you can see, this has a digital chromatic technology with which you can make the glass itself opaque or make it transparent, and it works very quickly, and they have even incorporated the Leaf logo. Nothing new, but it's nice to see that this tech is in the mass market segment. You have a two-spoke steering wheel with a bunch of buttons, so that's good to see. On the right-hand side, of course, you have your voice activation command. You have buttons here to navigate through the different menus on the main screen. We'll take a look at that. And look at this cool roller. It's a little bit lopsided, it's diagonal, but that's nice because it works well in your natural motion. So this is a nice way to scroll through different menus. And of course you have paddle shifters to change the regenerative braking mode. On the left-hand side, you have controls for your assistance systems. So this would be for the ProPilot Assist, and we'll test that out when we're driving. But it's also great to see that you have a speed limiter, which I always like to use in the city. And of course, the second 14.3-inch screen is so nice and big. It's seamlessly, there is a bit of a bezel, but it looks more seamlessly connected with the main infotainment screen. You have different options for what you want to see. You can have your charge information, a general kind of home screen, which has the power output and the range. Or you can also see your ProPilot Assist. You can see what the car is seeing. You can see all the different options that you have. We'll take a closer look at this when we're driving. And there's also a head-up display. While you don't have buttons, you at least have a dedicated capacitive climate control menu. Not the best, but at least it's always there. It's backlit, it's bright, and you can of course just turn on the climate control here. You can turn on the seat heating here. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. And this nice little shelf here makes it easy to rest your palm while you're operating these controls when driving. This is where you actually select your drive. So park, reverse, neutral, drive. There is no gear lever. You have these big chunky buttons. And along this side, you have the drive mode and of course the one pedal e-pedal mode. Good storage options in the center console, a couple beverage holders, a couple USB-C, a inductive phone charger without cooling, and under the padded armrest, a small cubby hole. The Leaf actually has an Android Automotive OS with Google built in. So with your Google account, you automatically have all your usual Google apps. Of course, Google Maps being the main navigation system, but this has been connected with the ProPilot and the general Nissan infrastructure. So what you get, for example, is where to charge. It also preconditions the battery, so when you reach your destination or the next charging point, that the battery is in its optimal temperature for charging. Things like this. Again, not revolutionary tech, but it's good to see that this has been implemented very seamlessly into the operating system. And of course, you have Google Assistant. So, hey, navigate me to Heidelberg, Germany.
Navigating to Heidelberg.
So now this is how long it would take me to drive home, 9.5 hours, multiple charges needed, and it will tell me where I need to stop for those charges. It'll already know and precondition the battery and tell me how long I need to charge there. When I'm arriving at that charging location, if it has been occupied already, it'll quickly divert me to another charging location which has an empty slot. So pretty smart and gives you that much more confidence to do long distance road trips. Really nice animation, very slick, very responsive as well. You also have the main screen with different widgets, so you can have your music, your map, and your general range and battery status. When you are charging as well, you have different ways to entertain yourself, including some video games. Although, I mean, you have to rest your hand, and it's easy to rest your hand here to tap on these things, but you have to be careful not to hit the climate control buttons. If video games on your car screen is not your cup of tea, of course you can watch Ultra Fuel on YouTube. And yes, this is an Android Google system, but you also have Apple CarPlay, and even the Apple Maps will be mirrored on to the cockpit as well. So how does the back seat of the Nissan fare? Well, I am 5'8" or about 1.7 meters. This seat is set to my driving position, even this passenger seat as well, roughly to how I would like to sit. And sitting behind myself, I fit. So I have a little bit of knee room. I can slide my feet under the front. I can lift the seat up a little bit, and that makes it a little bit better. Headroom is also just about adequate, but if you're 6 foot tall, like Thomas, you're not going to fit back here, to be honest. And unfortunately, the panoramic roof doesn't go behind my head like it does in the Polestar, for example. So I'm not benefiting from that, and there's just barely enough space. The doors, on the other hand, are nice. There's padded material for the armrest, and even that white textile material continues here, although there is no ambient lighting on the rear doors. Air conditioning vents, USB-C ports, and even some pockets here in the seats. Speaking of seats, here you also have ISOFIX mounting points for the outside 2 seats. Although these flaps just pop out, and yeah, the quality of these clips don't seem to be that great, and chances are you'll probably lose them. But on the plus side, you have a nice plush center armrest with some cup holders. Because this is a EV, there is no transmission tunnel in the middle, so it's a flat floor, and this air conditioning console doesn't jut into my leg space. So sitting in the middle is also not too bad, but yes, it's a little bit knees up. It's not so plush, so I don't have too much of underthigh support either. You get an optional electronic tailgate, like the one we have here, and inside you have a cargo capacity of 437 liters. What does that really look like in reality? Well, you can see that we have 3 cabin bags that fit very nicely inside. And if I were to take these out for you guys, you can see that actually you can also flip this cover up so that you have 2 different sections, and you can use this, for example, to keep some groceries on one side and keep other items so that they don't roll around and smash into each other. You can also put the floor completely down like that, and then you have more volume. There's some cubbies as well. I like the lights and I like the strap, but I don't like the fact that there's no way to tumble the seats from the back. I have to go to the sides, and this latch is a bit tight, and then the seat falls quite rapidly. You have to be careful not to pinch your fingers. And then on this side as well, if I were to do that, let's get those bottles out of the way. Now you see that there's a big, flat, large loading area. Is there a frunk? Well, as you guessed, nope, there isn't. All right, now let's see how the Leaf actually performs out on the road. We're starting off in the city here in beautiful Copenhagen, and the city is definitely the natural habitat for the Leaf. Yes, this is not the Micra, this is also going to be used as a family car, so we'll also take it out on the highway and test how it behaves out there. But in the city, I like to have the speed limiter on, so I have that set here. It is recognized with the camera system that the speed limit is now 50, so I can set that up as well. So it's good to have that extra little backup telling you what the speed limit is so you don't get a speeding ticket. If I hold the paddle shifter on the wheel down, then the recuperation mode sets to automatic. And now the car is monitoring the navigation, the cars around me, to make sure that, you know, it's doing the regenerative braking more autonomously. So if I'm coming up to a roundabout or something and I let off the throttle, not really a throttle, the accelerator pedal, then it will start doing more braking automatically, or if there's a car in front, it will also start braking me. So it's not just a single setting that is going to brake at a specific level no matter what. It's continuously monitoring different parameters and will therefore choose the most comfortable regenerative braking mode for you. And I think that's a really great system. It's really quiet in here as well. I think the sound insulation at these city speeds, I'm going 50 kilometers per hour, it's really nice. I don't hear the tire noise, I don't hear the wind outside, I don't hear any of the traffic or the construction noises from outside. So sound insulation at these speeds definitely is very good. The suspension tuning is also quite nice. Potholes and little ruts don't really filter through into the cabin. The seats are also fairly comfortable. You do have good adjustability, but yeah, I think they're not too wide. So I would recommend, if you are getting a chance to do a longer test drive, that you see how it feels for you as well. Visibility out the front is good. Visibility out the sides is also pretty good. Visibility out the back isn't great, and this was something we could have anticipated already because of that coupe roofline, and so many other EVs which have this coupe SUV roofline also suffer from a very similar not having very good visibility out the back. How does the Nissan Leaf fare out on the highway? First of all, let's check out the ProPilot with NavLink assist system. Fancy words, but what it basically does is if I activate it here on the menu and set it to the speed, then the system will automatically keep me in lane, will keep me in a comfortable distance, safe distance with the car in front. We'll look at the traffic signs, so it'll adjust the speed limit automatically. And because it's connected to my navigation, it also knows, for example, if I'm coming up to my exit, then it will slow me down, or if I'm coming to a roundabout, for example. Or even things like we said earlier, preconditioning the battery so that by the time I reach my charger, that it's at the optimum temperature. So like right now, we're coming out of a 80 traffic zone now to a 110. The system has detected that. With just one button, I jump from 80 to 110. I can also see on the screen here very nicely what the car is seeing. So the vehicles in front, the vehicles on the side as well. This is also something that we notice with other manufacturers. Of course, Tesla pioneered this kind of a view. It's not as smart or, not as detailed as a Tesla or even the VW Travel Assist, but in practice, when it's working, it gives me good confidence. It's maintaining a safe distance in the front. It's very comfortably managing itself, keeping it in the middle of the lane. It's not ping-ponging between the edges of the lane. And yeah, it definitely gives you comfort when you're going on long distance driving. The noise now is also not too bad. You can hear a little bit more of the wind noise. The tire noise is actually at a minimum, so it's really just the wind that you hear, and it's not too bad. The seats are not that great on long distances. The base is a bit short, I feel, and in general, I think you should do a longer test drive to see how these seats feel for your body size and your height, to see how comfortable they are. But yes, on the whole, with this travel assist system on the highway, you can definitely go on long drives very comfortably. Let's see how the Leaf fares out in the road. I'm starting off in a little village here, and a great place to test how maneuverable and easy it is to live with the Leaf. I have pretty good visibility now to get into this main street from this intersection. Light steering wheel. Turning circle is also not too bad. Suspension is, I would say, European, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a little bit on the stiffer side, and I'm going to go over this manhole cover here. Yeah, I can feel that a little bit. It's not uncomfortable or jarring, but it's a little bit on the European side. But these compact dimensions mean that it's really easy to place it on these narrow little roads. I love that I have a speed limiter, so now I can set it to the city speed limit and I don't have to worry about getting a speeding ticket. I have the e-pedal mode on, and this doesn't come to a complete stop. It's a really hard regen mode, but if I turn this off and I push the pedal long press, now this has a automatic regen mode. I can still manipulate the amount, but it will automatically slow me down if it sees a car in front, or based on the navigation that I have, if it sees that I need to make a sharp turn, then it will also brake me even more. But yes, you don't still have a full one pedal drive. Visibility out the front is great, sides as well, but visibility out the back isn't the greatest. That sloping roofline, while it looks nice on the outside, does mean that the vertical height of the window itself is quite limited. Things that we've seen in other EVs of this coupe SUV body style. Now we're going on to some more winding roads. If I put my foot down, front wheel drive, 217 horsepower, electric, so instant torque. Let's see, does that mean that I'm not going to be able to keep traction that easily? If I slow down a little bit here and then put my foot down, let's see, from 20. I would say it's quite sedate for an electric car. It's not bad. I mean, on the highway as well, or even in these roads, if you want to make a quick overtake, it'll help you out. But I think, yeah, because it's also front wheel drive, it's not able to really put all that torque down, so it is definitely a bit more sedate. If I go to the D mode and change it to Sport now, let's see if that makes a bit of a difference. Yeah, I can feel the acceleration calibration is a little bit better, but at the end of the day, this is definitely not a Tesla Model Y performance, and you shouldn't expect it to drive in that manner. I found a couple slightly twisty roads here on this island, and let's see how the Leaf's dynamic capabilities are. Again, being front wheel drive, we saw that the acceleration is muted. It's not very, it's not that sharp, but the steering actually has a reasonably good weight to it. It's not too light. In the city it is quite light, but it's good that it knows that around 80 kilometers per hour here on this road, that I would want a little bit more weight. And in the sport mode, I don't really feel a difference between the steering weights, to be honest, between standard and sport. Just a little bit heavier, just a smidge. But yeah, again, the characteristic of this car is not to be sporty. We'll see if there's a Nismo version of this someday. The low center of gravity of that battery pack, the fact that it's not that tall, does lend itself to good mannerisms here. For example, here on this little winding road. I wouldn't say it's very sporty, but it's a good all-rounder. And that's probably what's most important for most consumers. At the end of today's drive, I saw a consumption of about 16 kilowatt hours for 100 kilometers. That's quite high. It should be a little bit better if you spend a little bit more time driving with it. But at the end of the day, I think it's nothing too exceptional in terms of its consumption and efficiency. Now let's talk price. In Germany, just under 37,000 euros for the base variant. But you're going to want some more features, and the top spec with all the bells and whistles will be easily around 45,000 euros. In the US, the price range is a little bit lower, between 30 and 40,000 US dollars. So there, I think it makes a little bit more value for money sense. What do you think? Put your comments down below. At the same time, why don't you check out some of the other reviews of the many rivals that the Leaf has and our reviews of those cars, and let us know which one you would pick.